Hello, my antique loving friends. It's Gregory here, and welcome to another episode of Antique Acquisitions. Exciting things are happening right now in the antiques universe, and I want to talk about those today. First off, a longtime antique dealer of over 30 years is closing his business in Chicago and moving it. I'm going to tell you where. Scaffolding is coming down from the restoration at the Notre Cathedral. Let's have a look at that and see what some of the restoration looks like. Finally, what secrets have been discovered encoded in a dress made in 1888? We'll talk about all that and more right after this. So what could prompt a longtime antique dealer to move his well-established business from Chicago to another location? Stuart Grannon started Architectural Artifacts in 1987. He now has 2 locations in Chicago, one of which is 35,000 square feet, and he's just going to shut it all down and move. So why and where's he going? Well, this is what he had to say. There are a few different reasons Stuart Grannon has decided to move his beloved antique business, Architectural Artifacts, from Chicago to Rountop in rural Texas. For one, Rountop has emerged as what Grannon describes as the U.S. capital for antiques. And he got a good real estate deal on his new location. And I just have to stop and ask the question, is this the direction that Rountop is headed in? Are we going to see more and more stores actually move their physical location there full time rather than just setting up 2 or 3 times a year? That's an interesting thing, but he carries on. He's also looking to step back from the grind of daily operations, and then there's the weather. I just hate the cold, Grannon said. That's part of it. I'm not sure I'm going to like 110 degrees either, but it's better than cold. I agree. Architectural Artifacts has been in the Chicago community for more than 3 decades across 2 locations after Grannon started the business in 1987. Well, we certainly wish him the best in his move to the beautiful Rountop area. Okay, moving on, let's talk about Notre Dame in Paris. I'm sure most of you can probably recall in April of 2019 images all over the news showing the cathedral. It had erupted in flames, and it was just such a tragedy because it is one of the main landmarks in France. In fact, it attracts over 13 million tourists every year to the city of Paris. Now, when that happened, the French president at the time, Emmanuel Macron, said that they would have the restoration complete within 5 years. Well, that's 2024, so we have less than a year to go. Will they have it complete? I don't know, but what I do know is that the scaffolding has been taken down from the top of the church, and it reveals the church spire, so we can take a look at some of the progress that's being made in the restoration. So let's have a look at that. Scaffolding that shrouded the top of Notre Dame Cathedral following a devastating fire in April 2019 is being removed, marking a milestone in its reconstruction. As the shell at the summit has been taken down in recent days, it has revealed the cathedral's new spire for the first time, adorned with a golden rooster and cross. In a symbol of resilience and renewal, a new golden rooster, reimagined as a phoenix with flaming feathers, was installed atop the spire in December, marking the cathedral's rise from the ashes. There has been anticipation among Paris residents as Notre Dame is on track to reopen December 8th. The cathedral will not be open to the public during the Paris Olympics, however, in July and August, when the city will host millions for the Summer Games. The cathedral was built on a small island called the Ile de Cité in the middle of the Seine. Construction began in 1163 during the reign of King Louis VII and was completed in 1345. It is considered a jewel of medieval Gothic architecture. It was damaged and neglected in the 1790s during the French Revolution. Henry VI of England was made King of France inside Notre Dame in 1431, and Napoleon Bonaparte, who also sought to save the storied cathedral, was crowned emperor there in 1804. Interesting history. Victor Hugo's 1831 novel Notre Dame of Paris, published in English as The Hunchback of Notre Dame, informed readers about the building's decrepit condition. The book helped spur significant overhauls from 1844 to 1864 when architects redid the spire and flying buttresses. Well, that's exciting that they're making so much progress in the restoration of the cathedral, but I don't know if they'll ever be able to recreate that feeling that you had when you stood inside the cathedral, as I did decades ago, after the loss of the original elements that were in the building and some of the antique items as well. But I hope that at least they'll be able to recreate the visual appearance of it. Now, this is interesting. In 2014, an archaeologist, Sarah Rivers Cofield, was out searching, as she routinely did, for interesting period clothing, and she happened to find a dress. And on that dress, she discovered what appeared to be some type of encrypted message in the dress. So she listed it in her blog online to see if she could elicit some help in discovering what that might mean. Let's take a look at this story. Sarah Rivers Cofield was on her usual search for interesting period clothing about a decade ago when she noticed what appeared to be a textbook silk bustle dress from the 1800s at an antique mall in Maine. The bronze-colored dress was in good condition with a draped skirt, puffy bustle, and metal buttons that appeared to depict a Shakespearean motif. Miss Rivers Cofield, an archaeologist, bought it for $100. Little did she know that the garment also contained a mystery, a secret pocket with a cryptic note. Part of the message, written on two scrunched up translucent sheets of paper, read, "Bismarck omit leafage buck bank / Paul ramify Lomi event false new event." Miss Rivers Cofield was baffled. Was it a writing exercise, a list, a code? What? She wrote on her blog in 2014, "I'm putting it up here in case there's some decoding prodigy out there looking for a project." Well, as it turns out, there was. Wayne Chan, a data analyst at the University of Manitoba, finally cracked the case. The analyst said in an interview that he first worked on the code in the summer of 2018, but gave up after a few months without getting anywhere. At the end of 2022, he revisited it, poring over some 170 telegraphic code books in an attempt to find the answer to no avail. Another book, with a section detailing signals used by the U.S. Army Signal Corps, seemed to contain examples similar to the code found in the dress. After further research, he was finally able to decode it. And lo and behold, it was a weather report. It is probably one of the most complex telegraphic codes that I've ever seen, he said. The note contained codes used to telegraph condensed weather observations for stations in the United States and Canada in 1888. Each message started with a station location, followed by code words for temperature and pressure, dew point, precipitation, and wind direction, cloud observations, wind velocity, and sunset observations. For the first time in history, observations from distant locations could be rapidly disseminated, collated, and analyzed to provide a synopsis of the state of weather across an entire nation, he added. Those observations, however, needed to be condensed, just like other telegrams, into codes. Mr. Chan's findings brought resolve to the community of online sleuths who for years had speculated whether the owner of the dress was a spy, a romantic sending coded love notes, or a risk taker engaged in illegal gambling. One cryptologist declared it among the top 50 unsolved encrypted messages. Another wrote that even the most voracious code-breaking teeth had been unable to decipher the messages, which came to be known as the Silk Dress Cryptogram. Old maps helped Mr. Chan figure out the exact date of the observations, May 27, 1888. Some mysteries surrounding the dress, however, remain, including who owned it and why she would have had weather codes stuffed in a secret pocket. "It's tantalizing," said Miss Rivers Cofield, who found the dress, noting that a name, Bennett, was written on a paper tag stitched into the garment. Presumably, whoever did that is the last person who owned the dress, and presumably the last person who owned the dress, she added, put the code in the pocket. So there you have it. It appears like a Mrs. Bennett or Miss Bennett was the one who put the codes in that pocket, and we will probably never know why. All right, well, I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Antique Acquisitions. I hope you've enjoyed this format. Do you like this type of news? Do you want me to do more videos like that? Please let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because I do make videos on various types of antique content. In fact, I will be going out to the Rountop Festival myself shortly, and I'll interview some of the dealers just as I have in past years. You can see those videos as well. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time.